Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Construct's Armory by the elusive C4. This is a little bit of Tinker's Construct, but for armor. As you can see, there is quite a lot of variety, and this is just the base materials. We're not talking about mixing and matching here. There is so much here. So if you're familiar with Tinker's Construct, which I'm assuming you are, while I do this video, you will know that there are lots of different ways that you can make yourself some kinds of weapons and tools and things. And if you're tired of being OP in that aspect and you want to be OP in a little bit more, then this mod is for you. Now, it's really staying true to the Tinker's style, in my opinion, and I found it quite enjoyable. And a lot of customization and materials are involved in the making of just about any of these armor sets, including any and all mix and matched ones that you have here, or even the cosmetic armor set that I have here in place, which actually, if I take this off, you can like backpacks and stuff like that. So let's get down to this. In order to start into this mod, assuming that you have it installed with Tinker's Construct as well as Mantle, which these are at least some of the instruction book. That's right. The Tinker's Construct Materials NU is used in the making of Materials NU Armory Addendum, the addendum to the book Every Tinker Needs by C4. And it's simply just take a blank pattern and add it to the Materials NU book. That's pretty much it. You get yourself your Materials NU thing. And it's very good. It's just like the other Materials NU book, and it's just as informative. So I will recommend right now that if you don't want to spend a lot of time listening to me jabber on, then yeah, check this out, and you'll be very happy with what you find inside. But let's continue on so that you can see what is going to go on here. There are some basic materials for every single piece of armor that you can make, and the different types that you can make are basically your helmet, your chest plate, your leggings, and your boots. The reason I'm saying this is because, you know, like Tinker's Construct added in things like battle signs and some other weird stuff. In this case, it's just these four, but there are some special add-ons that you can get that are non-standard besides just changing stats around. So each piece of armor will consist of a base piece like this. You've got your base helmet, your base chest plate, your base leggings, your base boots, as well as some armor plates and some kind of trim. And with those three items combined, you'll make one armor piece. So it may require slightly more armor or ingredients or materials in some cases. If you're trying to make something like an iron set of armor, it will probably require more than your standard stuff. But it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily going to be more powerful in many different ways or have the option of becoming more powerful. Now, you will have your standard Tinker's Construct materials to choose from. There's plenty in here, as well as potentially others in the future. And if we continue on here, you'll see that wood has ecological, which and it has some different ways that you can craft these things. Of course, there are multiple ways of crafting things. There are two different tables to choose from. Your armor station, which is the equivalent of your Tinker's Construct tool station, and your armor forge, which is the equivalent of your Tinker's Construct tool forge. And these will both be a little bit gated. So your armor station is just a crafting table or a Tinker's crafting table with some blank patterns around it. We'll make that for you. And then your armor forge is going to be, well, a similar recipe to the other one. An armor station with some blocks of iron or some kind of metal, plus some kind of seared brick or stone material should get you your armor forge of choice. Now, what are the difference between these two? Well, of course, you've got your standard ones like in Tinker's Construct, where your wooden one will allow you certain availabilities. As you can see, there's already something a little special here. You've got your preview available here, which will allow you to actually put things in place so you can see what things look like on your character. If you want to see what an entire set does, just keep switching them through as you start doing this, and you should be able to see it all. And then you can take the last one out, and then they'll all disappear. But it's just like a little preview, which I think is pretty darn cool, considering that a lot of the armor stuff is cosmetic. Now, if you don't want to look like a jumbled mess, like I am right here, I do recommend that you try it out with cosmetic armor. It works just fine. You can make yourself look really snazzy by choosing the armor styles and looks that you want instead of the you know, your desired functionality. Now the armor station will, of course, work to put any of your different armors together. Your helmet, your chest plate, your leggings, and your boots. You can put any of them together. You can repair them as well, same as before, but you now have a polishing kit in order to repair your armor instead of a sharpening kit, which does make sense. You're not going to sharpen your armor unless maybe it's spiky. I don't know. But if you go to an armor forge, then you can start adding things to it. Instead of just being able to repair it or put it together, you can actually start adding on modifiers instead of just traits, because as you start making the different items, they will start, allowing you different things. And each one should start with 3 modifiers. Tinker tool leveling does work in this with the Construct's Armory leveling is worked in there with it. So therefore, if I look on here, it has an XP rating on these armor, like these slime boots I've worn a little bit. I've worn and taken some damage with, so they've got some XP on them. And therefore, you can level these things up as you want with that. But that's an additional mod, so just keep that in mind. Now, as before, you'd be able to, you'll probably notice these things. Let me just take these out of here for now. You'll be able to put things together here. Let's start off with the basics with a wooden set. So if I take a wooden helmet core, wooden armor trim, and wooden armor plates, I can then make myself a helmet, a wooden helmet, which will give me, if you look here, defense 3. But that's like a Tinker's version of defense. If I hold off the shift key, you can see it gives a 0.48 points of armor, so it's not really that good. But it's ecological, which in Tinker terms means it's going to slowly regenerate over time. So you can therefore make that. Now, if I want, I can go over here. If I have some other materials, let's say I've got some kind of, I don't know, I'll just take this firewood armor plates. I can replace the parts in here as well, which is also useful. And it adds another trait, Combustible, which is great. This armor's on fire. And it will then change the stats and so on. You can see it now has an armor toughness as well, plus the Combustible trait. So then I can do that. So yes, you can switch the parts around. You can repair things if it needs to with your polishing kits, or actually with the base materials. In this case, base materials are all the helmet, chest plate, leggings, or boots cores. If you have other parts that are plates or trim, then those will not apply to the repair material. And you can just repair them with the base material. Like in this case, it would be just some kind of wood planks if this was damaged. Now, if you are not in some kind of armor station or armor forge, then you can always take a polishing kit and repair it that way with the same base material, same as you would with Tinker's Construct. So far, it's all relatively not too bad, right? I agree. It's very simple, very straightforward if you're familiar with Tinker's Construct. And if you continue on, you can also add some extra things to it. Like here, I've got a wooden helmet, and I want to add in some, wait, I can't. It's a modifier item because I'm in an armor station. So I can't add this Traveler's Goggles option on here. If I want to, though, in an armor forge, then it allows me to add things extra on here that will start using up the modifiers. In this case, there was 3 starting off with, and it adds in a goggles area. You can see I look kind of like an owl now if I put this on. And therefore, it will use up one of the modifiers. Durability is 1 out of 1, so this is just really a set of a helmet that's just going to be good for zooming, but that's about it. And it uses a hotkey. In this case, it zooms in extremely far. Yeah, very, very, very far. In fact, I have over here, let me grab this off here, a set of armor that has some of the more interesting add-ons that we could potentially get in here. For instance, I've got a chest plate with a backpack, which you don't really see here. But if I take off my special set of armor, put on these clothes here, you can see that, you can see that I have a backpack on my back. And that is just basically a traveler's knapsack, which is, some basic materials here. Nothing too expensive. You put it on there, and then when you use your hotkey, which in this case I believe it's H, you add an extra 27 slots to your inventory that is equipped on your chest plate that you've made. Now, there are other options. If you look here, I have a belt on this pair of trousers here. And let me turn it around. There we go. And if I actually hit the my other hotkey, my inventory, my hotbar is disappearing and then coming back, disappearing. Here, let me put something else on here. And then I could do this. And there we go. you can see I now have 2 hotbars to choose from. It is not reliant upon anything in your inventory. It's an extra 9 slots that you can use as you would like to for that. And that's by adding on the Traveler's Belt. And then, of course, there is another option, which was the goggles, which if I come over here, I think I've got them on. Yes, I do. In fact, let me just put those on for kicks here. And if I look way down here, now currently the zoom level is extreme. Allow me to look at this area here, and then I hit zoom, and wow, yeah, it's a little extreme. I don't know that I could actually, yeah, if it's outside of my viewable area. Let's look at some of the spots on this mushroom. Oh, it's ridiculous. So you have to move very slowly or else you're just going to totally fling around. Now that may or may not change in the future. I don't know. This is a brand new mod out here. So that's what the goggles do with a hotkey. You can then zoom in, similar to if you had some other mods installed. And then of course, on your boots, there are a few different options as well, one of which is, you notice it says slime boots. You can actually make your own slime boots that actually have an armor rating, and you can, bounce off of stuff, which actually that was really, really pathetic. But if I have my slime sling, there we go. And yes, I'm currently on slimy grass, but that's not going to stop my damage. There we go. And I realized I didn't even have my boots on. Let me try that again. There we go. And then you've got your slime boots, which actually can be customized so that you can have an armor rating as well as several different other things. In this case, I've got frosty, I've got ecological, they're slimy and bouncy. So let's go over a lot of the stuff in the book then, so that we can start covering what all you can start customizing your armors with. All right. So if I click in here, we've got wood. You're familiar with wood. It can be made on a standard table. You don't need like any kind of smeltery or anything like that. It's carvable. Ecological, it will slowly repair over time. Same as Tinker's Construct. Stone is going to be very similar to Tinker's Construct as well. Your armor that you choose, if you have the core made out of it, is going to have less durability. If you use the trim or plates or even an embossment, then you would get cheap on these ones, and that would increase the durability gained when you're repairing it. So if you typically would repair 100 durability on something by using its chosen material, if you have the cheap trait on there, then that would end up allowing it to repair perhaps 110 or 120 with the one use of the material. Now, Flint is going to be a bit different, but it's going to be similar to the Tinker's Construct version of a weapon. Bonus protection against unarmed attackers. So you're basically taking less damage from something like a zombie without any kind of weapons. And then you can actually stack that up multiple levels by having mundane and mundane 2 or things like that. Multiple levels like trim, plates, and core. You could have mundane 4 perhaps. Then you've got Cactus, which is spiny. Getting hurt deals damage to the attacker at the cost of durability. So your durability will have to go down. You will have to take damage, and that will cause some small amount of damage to happen to your attacker. It's actually not as strong as the Tinker's Cactus items, but that is fine. It still allows you to deal damage without having to. Then you've got Bone. Calcic. For stronger bones, milk rejuvenates both you and your armor. It's true. You drink a bucket of milk. I am now in creative mode. I have a bucket of milk. Get a bone chest plate here. Let's put that on. And then if I drink this, I get regen 4 for a few seconds, and then it will also instantly repair my armor. So it's really, really quite interesting. It's limited because you're going to have like a bucket of milk, but therefore by drinking milk, you can have yourself a short regen potion as well as have the ability to repair your armor very simply and easily. So that's what Calcic does. Then you've got Skeletal, makes your armor tougher. And you're thinking, well, the toughness rating, that's like 1, right? No, it actually, if you have a skeletal plates added on to some other item, for instance, if I look at plates, let's bring up here, we've got Prismarine armor plates. There's a modifier, a durability of -10 and toughness of 2. Well, if I add in something that also has skeletal, for instance, let's look at trim. All of the trim is durability based. None of it will add toughness. But if I add skeletal to it, in this case, some bone armor trim, to some kind of Prismarine armor plates and Prismarine armor boots, then it will still increase the toughness of the armor by an additional So that is how Skeletal works. It will increase the toughness of the item if it has that trait. So you can always emboss something with Skeletal and it'll increase its toughness. Then you've got Obsidian Turret. It's very similar to Tinker's Construct in the fact that you have a chance of it potentially not taking any durability damage. Continue on, you've got Prismarine, which has Aqua Speed. The armor is unhindered by water and loves rainy evenings. The Aqua Speed, it stacks per armor piece that has it. So therefore, the more Aqua Speed you have on up to 4 different pieces of armor, the better off you'll be. It can make you move as if you're just walking regularly through water. You might have a slight ice gliding effect, but it is really good. Then you've got Rough. Damages attackers on contact based on durability. So the less durability you have, the more damage it does in reflection. Continuing on, we've got End, which is Alien, as if they're changing. Maybe time will tell. As with Tinker's Construct, it will slowly over time, if I grab an Ender, here we go, I'll just grab one of these pieces here. If you look here, it will say Alien and Ender Port. If I put that on and I start wearing it over time, it will slowly increase things like the defense. You notice it's already, look at that, 9.02. It just went up. Oh, and the toughness, 1.01. Slowly over time, oh, and the durability went up. All of those items will slowly increase at a random level. So therefore, you may get something better. You may get something worse than another version that you would potentially get. And Enderport might teleport you out of dangerous situations. Now, my testing on this was limited, but from what I understood, it was whenever you fall in lava, it will teleport you up to like maybe 20 or 30 blocks nearby. And it won't stop you from burning, but it'll, keep you from falling into lava at least. So it's a very handy thing if you're exploring the Nether. You don't have any kind of fire resistance. At the very least, it will keep you from sinking to your death in lava pits. Then you've got Paper. Exactly the same as Tinker's. It will add another modifier to it. And then you've got Absorbent. Now, sponges are actually really, really interesting in this one. Your armor gets stronger in water and rain. Now, this doesn't actually show you in stats, but I did some testing, and while standing in water, submerged in water, in the rainstorm, I was pretty much taking half as much damage as I was when I wasn't in any kind of wet environment. So this can be very strong in that aspect. Continuing on, we've got Firewood Combustible. Sets fire to surrounding creatures when ignited. So to give an example, I now have a bunch of firewood items here, leggings, boots, chestplate, and helmet, plus a flint and steel. I just need a volunteer. So if I grab a spider, which will remain peaceful until attacked, place it down, and then I am close to it, and I ignite myself on fire. If I were in non-creative, he then takes damage, as you can see here. So therefore, he is ignited on fire, if only just because of that trait, Combustible. Moving on, we've got Iron with Magnetic. Now this is what I was looking for personally with the magnet ability to be affected by it. Now let me get rid of these. I will get myself some of the other armor set. There we go. I am now iron armored up, and I can demonstrate how this works just by throwing something on the ground, and then it just gets sucked into me very quickly, very easily. I don't have to mine any blocks or anything. It just happens. It just does it. It's really nice. So therefore, you've got a built-in magnet just by wearing the iron armor stuff. And of course, they are stackable, so you can have higher levels of it, reaching out further and further. Pig iron is very similar to the Tinker's version, which getting hit sometimes will give you a slice of bacon in your inventory. Tasty means that you'd rather eat the durability of your armor than starve to death. So if you're like low on food or something, or you just need to eat it, you may end up eating the durability of your armor, which can be bad, can be good, depending upon how you have things set up. Now, Night Slime. This one is very strong in a few different ways. Invigorating. Somehow you feel healthier. Every time that you have a level of invigorating, for instance, if I put on some of my really nice armor here, put this on, I gained a speed boost and all, but if I eat a little bit of food, you'll notice that my health continues to recharge past the lower 10 hearts. It's now 12 hearts. Every level of invigorating that you get from a piece of armor, which up to 4 you can carry, gets you 2 additional hearts that you can potentially fill. Therefore, It's very strong in that aspect, you know, up to almost doubling your health if you have a full set of some kind of invigorating armor. Dramatic. Might save you in a pinch? Who knows? Now, dramatic in this case can be helpful. If you drop down to 0 health, it's potentially going to heal you up a small amount so that you don't die. So, yeah, that's a bit dramatic. All right, slime and blue slime. Very much the same in either aspect. Slimy, there's a potential as you take damage that you might spawn yourself either a green or blue slime, just a little tiny one, respectively. Bouncy means that you have the same effect as if you were wearing the regular Tinker's Construct slime boots. So therefore you can actually armor yourself up by ensuring that you have a core of either blue or green slime, or you can have yourself embossed with these properties. Magma Slime. This one's a bit different from the other two slimes. It has Autoforge. The armor repairs itself in fire, which in this case, you do just have to be wearing it, and you just have to touch a bit of lava. So if you have a pit of lava, you just kind of touch in it, it will repair, but at the same time, it will start taking damage because you're taking damage. So if your armor is mostly damaged, you touch lava, it should heal most, if not all, of the damage on that armor. But you don't want to just sit in there because the lava damage itself will actually start outstripping the repair ability. Super hot. You run faster when you're on fire. Whether you have fire resistance or not, super hot is going to make you run super fast. It's very entertaining and very good. Netherrack. Ridiculous. The armor works better in hotter environments. It's the exact opposite of the Prismarine. It's basically when you're in a hotter environment like the Nether, it will tend to reduce the damage that you would take from sources that are attacking you. Infernal, extra protection from non-nether mobs. Same thing, just applied to non-nether mobs. So therefore, when you're in the overworld, you would take less damage from non-nether mobs. Cobalt, usually known for its speed and lightweightedness. Featherweight, this basically gives you a measure of feather fall. And then you've got lightweight, increases your overall movement speed. So each one of these pieces of armor that you have will increase the speed at which you can move. Not by very much, but a little bit. Then you've got Ardite, subterranean. Your armor is more durable below sea level. It's just when you're lower down in the caves, then therefore you can just, you take less damage. And then Petravidity is actually really interesting. It takes smooth stone or cooked cobblestone, whatever you want to call it, just regular stone from Minecraft. When you pick it up off the ground, if you have any damage on your armor, it will use it to repair it. It will use up a lot of it, but it is one quick and easy way of repairing your armor if it's damaged. And then last and not least of the material types, we've got Manillan, which is vengeful and prideful. Vengeful, your attackers might not feel great after hitting you. They may get a weakness effect applied to them. It's kind of random on that one. Then you've got prideful. You're tougher after getting attacked at the cost of durability. So therefore, you have a potential to take less damage, and your armor will take more damage. So that's not too bad. Then the modifiers are similar, once again, to Tinker's Construct, but slightly different. Speedy. Redstone, in this case, will add you up to 5% speed increase per piece of armor that you max it out on. So like 50 redstone per, modifier level. So therefore, you could have like 3 levels on each one that would increase you up to 60% speed increase, which is, it's actually really nice. You move at a pretty good rate. Now, resistant reduces damage from all attacks, etc. This resistant, I would say it's similar to the protection enchantment of regular Minecraft armors, but it's slightly weaker. And it only takes 1 modifier slot, and you can stack it up to 7 times. So therefore, you can max it out. Then you've got blast resistant, same way as the blast resistance enchantment, but it's weaker, and therefore same thing as before. You can stack it up to 7 and so on. Same thing with projectiles. It's good against projectiles. Fire resistance, it will lessen the damage that you take from lava and fire, and it's stackable as well. All of the resistance are similar to the standard Minecraft enchantments, but none of them can be on the same. You can't have 2 of them on the same piece of armor. You can have 1 on each of them, but you're going to be better off if you have a complete set with these. But the prices on these things tend to increase, especially with the regular resistance. Those are really, really expensive. If you look here, the resistance here, it's a block of iron times 4. plus some kind of cast and some obsidian. The rest of them, you know, your fire resistance is just a little bit obsidian and blaze powder, and then you've got arrows, and then you've got bricks. So they're not too expensive, but this one here, which will protect against just about everything, is going to be very expensive, especially since you can put it up to 7 times per piece of armor. That's a lot of our iron there. Now, diamonds. Diamonds are good all-around additional modifiers. Extra durability. So they'll increase the durability of the armor by at least 150, I believe that was. Minor armor and toughness increase. I think that it increases the armor rating by 4 and the toughness by 2. You can only use it once, and of course, it is fabulous. Emerald will simply just increase the base durability of the armor piece by 50%. Done. And it adds a shiny green effect. Parasitic. This one here is really interesting. It steals life from you to repair itself. And you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm wearing armor to not take damage. It's smart about it, though. It won't kill you, and it will only take it when it's necessary. Basically, when your health is full, or you are at your maximum or over it or whatever, you know, you've got a lot of saturation and stuff, it will then slowly start picking off a little half-hearted time to repair your armor. It's really interesting on how that works, and it's actually better than you might think. So therefore, if you want a simple and easy way of repairing this, repairing your armor with food, then that's one way of doing it. So if you look here at reinforced, we've got more. Yes, reinforced. It's the same as with Tinkers. You can stack it up to 5 times to make your armor, reinforced, so it's not going to break. Each one of these will add up to 20% reduction of durability loss until you have 100%, in which case it will then become unbreakable. Mending Moss. This is potentially one of the weakest ones that I could think of here. This was actually nothing like what I thought it would be. I thought that it would be like the Mending enchantment, but it's similar to that, but you can't be wearing the armor for it to repair. So it stores collected XP as you're running around killing things, your armor takes damage and stuff, and it will slowly repair the armor over time, but you have to not be wearing the armor for it to repair. So the armor will store the XP to repair itself, but then you have to take it off and put it in your inventory or in a chest or something like that, and then it'll start repairing. So it's really interesting. And yes, you can have multiple levels of it on one, so you can stack that up so that it actually does it better. Now, Amphibious. This is one of the more unique additions that you can have on here. A couple pieces of glass and some Prismarine will allow you a very lengthy amount of time to breathe underwater. Now, I have that on here, and I tested it. And basically what it allows you to do is add an additional amount of time, depending upon how long you're up in the overworld, to a certain point, so that you're not in the water. But if you're not submerged, you will gain air. Air goes up to a certain capacity, and then it will stop gathering it. Then you can go back underwater, and it will give you a full quantity of extra air. So it'll, for instance, delay your bubbles dropping by about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Who knows? It's really good like that, though. So if you don't have a way of water breathing, this is pretty good. But once you start losing the air bubbles, then you know you have a very limited window, and you need to get out of there. Now, Frosty. This, you can just put a couple of packed ice and some lily pads on your shoes, and you get the Frostwalker enchantment similarity on your boots of choice. And of course, this only works on a helmet. This only works on boots. Then you've got Soulbound. You add another star without the use of any modifiers, and you will gain the ability to keep your armor on you should you die. Then Polished. Polishing is very strong, just as if using like an obsidian sharpening kit in Tinker's Construct to increase the mining level of your tool. Doing the same with a piece of sand and some kind of polishing kit will allow you to add the toughness of whatever that is. In this case, I highly recommend sponge as the material you want to do. Let me use this as an example. I have some wooden boots here. Toughness of 0, right? I take a diamond, I add it on there, toughness of 2. Good to go. So then if I take this sand plus a sponge polishing kit, put this on here, it only increases at 3 to a maximum of 5, right? Well, it's a matter of the order that you need to put this on. If I increase it by the sponge first to give it a toughness of 5, then I add in the diamond, it will increase it further to a toughness of 7. Same materials applied at a different time will give you a better or worse toughness rating. So there's something to be had with the order with which you make your materials, and therefore can have a very great effect on how things work. And of course, you can emboss things and add in all of the traits of another part. Therefore, if you don't want your boots to be made out of slime, you could actually emboss that slime effect onto another set of boots if you so desired. Therefore, you could get your bouncy effect and not take any fall damage, and you can use your slime sling all over the place running around. So I hope you guys enjoyed this bit by bit on Construct's Armory by the Elusive C4. If so, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, be sure to spread the mischief to others if you think they'll enjoy this kind of content too. And until next time, folks, I'll see ya.